Hey, welcome to a new video. A percentage of the ocean remains totally mysterious to us, but every once in a while, a terrifying ocean monster comes to the surface from the depths. Scientists discover new species every year that sometimes look pretty creepy.
Are you new to this channel? Make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. And before we start, also like the video.
The Yonaguni Monument is a submerged rock formation off the coast of Yonaguni, the southernmost of the Ryukyu Islands in Japan. Discovered in the mid-1980s, it's since sparked immense discussion and speculation about its origin and even its nature. The rectangular monument, measuring over 164 feet in length and 66 feet in width, was first discovered by a diver. Composed of shale and sandstone, it's estimated to be approximately 10,000 years old. One theory suggests that it's a man-made step pyramid, possibly constructed by an ancient civilization. Another theory suggests that it's a natural formation formed by weathering and erosion processes, acting on a bedding in linear joints in sandstone. However, the true identity of the Yonaguni Monument remains unsolved, and researchers continue to explore and study the site. Some believe that the monument is part of a lost continent called Mu and dates back 20 million years.
In this video, we see a man who's anchored his boat somewhere in the ocean. At one point, a tiny ocean monster jumped out of the water. He described it as the size of a pinky fingernail and said he'd never seen anything like it. He uploaded the video to YouTube and asked people if they knew what it was. Although opinions varied, the most popular theory was that it was an insect called the damselfly. Damselflies are found in freshwater ecosystems in various streams, ponds, lakes, and rivers. But there were also those who believed it was a little mermaid, or some other unknown sea creature that hasn't been identified. What do you think it was? Let me know in the comments.
On May 3, 1945, as the war in Europe drew to a close, the USS Largado sub rendezvoused with the USS Abaya in the Gulf of Thailand to receive supplies. After two ships separated and agreed to remain in contact via radio, the Largado and its crew of 86 submarines were never seen or heard from again. It literally disappeared without a trace during its second war patrol, and its final resting place remained unknown for over 60 years. The mystery surrounding the USS Largado was eventually solved when the submarine's wreck was discovered on the bottom of the Gulf of Thailand. The discovery of the USS Largado was made in June 2006 by Marines from the USS Salvador. During the investigation of the wreck, they observed several key pieces of evidence confirming the identity of the sub. These included twin gun mounts, the word Manitowoc inscribed on the propellers, and an open torpedo tube door with an empty torpedo tube behind it, suggesting that the Largado may have fired a torpedo shortly before sinking.
Many of you will surely know the story of the RMS Titanic, a luxury cruise ship that collided with an iceberg in April of 1912 and sank to the bottom of the ocean. There's a good chance that you've also seen the 1997 Titanic film, starring Leonardo DiCaprio and Kate Winslet. One of the reasons why the Titanic was so well known is because the ship was known to be practically unsinkable. So when the cruise ship sank in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean to a depth of 4,000 meters, this was incomprehensible. In September of 1985, the Titanic was rediscovered some 740 kilometers south of Newfoundland in Canada. When a team of researchers revisited the wreck in 2019, they realized that large parts had disappeared. This was due to the salty water and metal-eating bacteria. Some scientists therefore believe that the entire shipwreck will be completely gone by the year 2040.
A group of treasure hunters from Stockholm, utilizing sonar tech, stumbled upon a peculiar disc-shaped object, which was resting on the seabed between Sweden and Finland in 2011. Viewed from above, it bears a striking resemblance to the iconic Millennium Falcon spacecraft from the renowned Star Wars series. Impressively large, with a diameter of 197 feet, it lies submerged in approximately 276 feet of water. Extending from the object is a disturbed trail on the seafloor, measuring about 1,600 feet. Media sources eagerly speculated about the nature of this mysterious find, ranging from UFOs to Russian spacecraft. Resting on the ocean floor, the object indeed resembles a submerged Millennium Falcon, sparking numerous theories since its discovery by the OceanX team. For some observers, it could serve as a Nazi submarine defense, or even as a gateway to the underworld. A plausible explanation that has surfaced is that this formation may have functioned as an anti-submarine base.
This ocean monster doesn't look like something you want to encounter on the dark bottom of the ocean. The Magnapinna squid lives deep below the surface and mainly eats plankton. We've talked about the giant squid before, but the Magnapinna squid is the nightmarish version of the squid and is rarely ever seen. Barely 20 years have passed since scientists officially recognized and described it. The Magnapinna squid lives deeper than any other squid dares. Videos, such as those of crew members drilling for oil, show it living at depths of about 1.5 miles or 2,400 meters.
The deepest record, however, is about 3 miles or 4,700 meters. The creepy appearance can largely be attributed to their appendages, but it's mainly their length that makes them creepy. The Magnapena squid can reach a length of as much as 20 feet or 6 meters, but it's mostly their tentacles which can grow more than 20 times longer than their bodies.
The Apollo F-1 rocket engines, which powered the Saturn V rockets during the Apollo program, were discovered underwater off the coast of Florida. They were found in the Atlantic Ocean at a depth of 14,000 feet by a team led by Jeff Bezos, the CEO of Amazon, during a deep-sea expedition. The F-1 engines were used at the first stage of the Saturn V rockets that launched the Apollo missions to the moon in the late 1960s and early 1970s. After the first stage was jettisoned during launch, the F-1 engines fell into the Atlantic Ocean and sank to the seabed. The discovery of the F-1 engines was made using an advanced deep-sea sonar tech. The team described the underwater location of the twisted F-1 engines as incredible, paying tribute to the fiery and violent end of the Apollo program. The engines were found in remarkable condition, considering their 43 years underwater. However, due to fire and heavy corrosion, most of the original serial numbers had been removed or covered.
If you like horror movies, you've probably heard of Jason Voorhees, a character from the movie Friday the 13th. Jason is known for wearing a field hockey mask, and the film made him an icon in the horror franchise. In one of the scenes where Jason is defeated, he ends up at the bottom of the lake. A big fan of the movies apparently thought it was such a good scene that he had created a Jason statue and chained it near Arizona in the northern Pacific Ocean. In 2013, a diver came across this statue for the first time, and he was shocked at first. But it soon became a popular statue for divers. Eventually, it turned out that the man named Zach Nagy had put it here for fun, 36 meters deep at the bottom of the sea. Since then, he scared off a lot of divers.
In 2016, scientists successfully made the very first recording of the deepest part of the ocean. This allowed us to catch a glimpse of the extraordinary realm where James Cameron ventured, the Challenger Deep. This remarkably isolated and high-pressure location, situated within the Mariana Trench, can now be experienced through this remarkable recording. For 23 days, a titanium-clad microphone meticulously captured the soundscape, revealing an unexpected clarity and beauty. As water is an excellent conductor of sound waves, the recording unveils the powerful roar of a storm and the enchanting call of whales. Scientists aim to use this data to monitor changes in oceanic sounds and elevate their impact on whale communication, given concerns about increasing noise pollution.
When you see this ocean monster, you would think it was a parasite from a horror movie. But no, this is a lamprey, also known as the vampire fish. It's not hard to imagine why it has that nickname. You see, they have a disc-shaped mouth full of razor-sharp teeth and even a sharp tongue. With their sucking mouths, these parasitic fish attach themselves to other fish. Their teeth are used to grip tightly. In this sense, they resemble leeches, sucking up the host's blood as well as other bodily fluids. There's stories going around that they can also grab onto people, but fortunately, this doesn't happen very often. They're native to the Atlantic Ocean, but have since migrated. Since the last few years, they've ended up in large lakes. As we see in the video, a fisherman caught a large fish to which a lamprey had attached itself to. Pretty creepy, and definitely an ocean monster you don't want to encounter.
During the First World War in 1916, the German submarine UB-65 was built, but from the very beginning it was plagued by misfortune. Tragic accidents claimed the lives of 5 men. Just a week after its launching, a steel beam inexplicably came down, claiming the lives of 2 men. The series of disasters continued when during the submarine's maiden dive, a crew member suddenly jumped overboard. When it was time to resurface, the submarine refused to ascend. Seawater began to flood the boat, eventually reaching the batteries, releasing deadly fumes. The captain managed to bring the vessel to the surface, but the crew was on the brink of suffocation. In January 1918, UB-65 ventured into the English Channel in search of enemy ships. As the sub submerged, the starboard lookout saw a person on deck, despite all hatches being closed. It was the deceased second officer from the maiden voyage. Subsequently, the ship was decommissioned, and a Lutheran minister was enlisted to exorcise this vessel. In May 1918, while sailing off the coast of Spain, an officer reported seeing an unidentified person enter the torpedo room. Shortly thereafter, the torpedo operator became distraught, claiming that the ghost was tormenting him relentlessly. He jumped overboard and drowned. The haunted UB-65 came to an end in July 1918, when the UB-65 exploded.
An American businessman named Jay Miscovich is said to have bought a treasure map in 2010 for $500 from someone he met in a cafe. This treasure map would have showed a marked location just off the coast of Florida near Key West. He brought a friend, and together they dived in the sea in search of the treasure. Arriving at the marked location, he would find a wreck of a ship containing about 70 kilograms of emerald gemstones, worth millions of dollars. Because of this discovery, he was seen in the news all over the world, but he kept the place where he had found the gem a secret. When some of these stones were examined by experts, it soon became clear that these were not real gemstones, and that they were covered with epoxy, a kind of paint. When Jay's story was checked, they found out that he had made the whole story up. Because of this, he got into huge debts and later ended his life in October of 2013.
Simon Morris, a renowned sculptor, created the Reef Guardian, intended to be placed underwater to promote diving tourism and environmental awareness. Divers from around the world have also marveled at other notable sculptures, including the Emerald Princess in British Columbia and Amphitrite in Grand Cayman. The Reef Guardian impressively rises 13 feet above its sturdy seabed base, crafted in bronze. Symbolically, the statue represents the deep responsibility humanity has neglected for decades. This statue has become a tantalizing attraction for divers, while simultaneously generating revenue for local charities. A portion of the proceeds earned from the divers visiting the location is donated to conservation and education programs. The primary aim for these programs is to enlighten school children on Grand Cayman about the significance and preservation of our precious marine resources.
The sun is shining brightly, the weather is good, and you're enjoying a day on the water, hoping to catch something. However, this guy got the scare of his life when from the depths of the water, an unusual fish jumped out towards him. The fish has a spear-shaped head, a jaw full of arrow-shaped teeth, reflective scales, and a body more than 5 feet or 1.5 meters long. According to people in the comments, this would be a ribbonfish. When they mature, they come to the surface during the day to feed. At night, they prefer the dark depths. They're usually mistaken for eels, because they share some resemblances and swim like snakes. In this video, the YouTube channel Darsizzle Offshore manages to catch a giant ribbonfish in Florida. Just imagine if this sea creature jumped out at you. That would be pretty terrifying.
In September 2023, maritime archaeologists discovered the wrecks of 2 German submarines from World War I on the bottom of the North Sea off the coast of Belgium. The North Sea, bordered by several countries, harbors numerous shipwrecks, warplanes, and submarines, many of which remained unidentified. Some discovered wrecks had been a mystery for over a century until divers successfully identified them. Both submarines were used by the Imperial German Navy, which controlled the waters off the Belgian coast during World War I. One of the submarines is of the U-5 U-boat type, approximately 187 feet in length, and was commissioned in 1910 before the war. It sank off the Belgian coast in December 1914 after hitting a mine, resulting in the loss of all 29 crew members. Equipped with 4 torpedo tubes, the wreck of this submarine remains well preserved and largely intact. The second submarine is a U-14 U-boat, approximately 114 feet long, specially designed for mine laying. During its service in the First World War, the mines laid by this submarine were responsible for sinking more than a dozen Allied ships.
In March 2013, Amazon boss Jeff Bezos decided to retrieve the huge F-1 rocket engines used 51 years ago by Apollo 11 from the bottom of the ocean. When Jeff was 5 years old, he had seen the moon landing on television, and he was inspired and decided to finance the project to retrieve the engines. The engines have been lying at a depth of 4,200 meters in the Atlantic Ocean since 1969. After 2 years, he announced that his research team had recovered the engines through advanced sonar technology. Another reason is probably because he owns his own space company called Blue Origin, and he wants to find out as much info as possible about the engines. Furthermore, Jeff Bezos tells that they found a lot more, and that some of the components could possibly be repaired. However, the F-1 rocket engines belong to NASA, but the idea is to exhibit the engines in a museum in Seattle, Washington for the public to admire.
In August 2022, footage surfaced of a dolphin hunting and consuming an unusual toxic sea snake off the west coast of the United States in San Diego Bay. The dolphin, participating in a naval exercise in the Pacific Ocean, had a waterproof camera attached to it when it noticed the snakes. The Navy trained the dolphin to detect underwater mines, making this encounter with sea snakes an unexpected observation. Although previous reports have documented dolphins catching and interacting with sea snakes, this is considered the first time a dolphin has actually consumed them. Dolphins are known to primarily feed on fish, squid, and certain crustaceans. The yellow sea snake, the species encountered by the dolphin, is highly venomous and potentially dangerous if ingested. Researchers behind the footage observed that the dolphin showed no negative reaction after consuming the snakes. During the recorded encounters, one specific dolphin managed to consume a total of 8 small sea snakes, while a larger sea snake managed to escape.
more than 130 million containers are shipped annually across the oceans to other countries. Each year, on average, 150 containers would fall from the cargo ships in the water. Some of them wash ashore, while others sink to the bottom of the sea. In May 1990, a story circulated that helped scientists a lot. A cargo ship lost 4 to 5 containers filled with Nike shoes. It was estimated that more than 80,000 shoes ended up in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. Every Nike shoe had the same code, 900406, and many of these shoes were found washed ashore all over the world. As a result, people studying oceanography were able to figure out how oceanic currents worked. Although this was a great loss to Nike itself, they helped the science community to create a new understanding and enabled them to study the oceans for many years.
When UFOs come up, our first instinct is to look up. But what if we told you to look down, and even deeper into the depths of the ocean? Periodically, the USS Trepong incident resurfaces. According to claims, the USS Trepong captured photographs of unidentified flying objects during operations in the Arctic area in March 1971. One particular photo shows a UFO rising from the ocean next to a naval ship amidst a large explosion. This photo also shows a US Navy shock test from 1982, leading some to suggest this is evidence of extraterrestrial visitation to Earth. It's worth noting that when a floating object is observed via superior mirage, the waterline creates an illusion of a flat bottom. In the image in question, however, the object appears to have no flat bottom, adding to the mystery. Moreover, it's unlikely that torpedoes, explosive charges would be carried out in the Arctic area. Is this where the aliens have been hiding all this time?
Have you ever seen the video of the Venus flytrap plant that catches and devours insects? There's also an ocean monster that can be compared to this. Meet the predatory tourniquet, also known as the ghost fish. This sea creature looks like it came out of a horror movie. It's a predatory tourniquet that looks terrifying and is anchored to the deep sea bed waiting for unsuspecting prey, such as small fish or shellfish. The trap closes and stays closed until the prey inside is fully digested. You might wonder if they pose a threat to an unsuspecting diver and wait to catch one in their traps, but the answer is simple: no. The predatory tourniquet are about 5 inches or 13 centimeters in diameter, but that doesn't make them any less terrifying.
A submarine named K-159 sank in August 2003 after being struck in adverse weather conditions. This occurred near a closed naval base on the eastern coast of the Kola Peninsula. Since then, researchers have expressed concerns about potential radioactive leaks from the 2 aging nuclear reactors on board that could pollute the vital fishing grounds in the Barents Sea. In 2014, a joint Norwegian-Russian expedition examined this location and determined that there had been no leakage from the reactors into the surrounding marine environment. However, due to the deteriorating condition of the hull, there's a future risk of leaking. A study by a Norwegian institute has shown that releasing the entire inventory of cesium-137 from 2 reactors could lead to significantly higher concentrations of cod in the Barents Sea. In the eastern part of the Barents Sea, these concentrations could be up to 100 times higher than normal, and this effect would persist for 2 years. Although an increase of 100 times in CS-137 levels in cod may sound alarming, it's important to note that these concentrations would still remain below international guidelines. However, the potential impact on the fish market couldn't be ignored.
In 2007, some divers were looking for old shipwrecks when they suddenly came across a stone construction. Because of the way the stone stood in a circle, this place soon got the name Underwater Stonehenge. Stonehenge is, as you may know, a megalithic monument located near Salisbury in England. To this day, it's a great mystery how and who made these large stone blocks. However, the underwater Stonehenge was found in Lake Michigan in the north of the United States at a depth of 12 meters. One of the most interesting things they could find was a boulder with the markings of the mastodons on it. This allowed scientists to find out that this place was about 10,000 years old. This suggests that an ancient civilization in the north of America already used tools and possibly lived together with mastodons.
In August 2023, a remarkable discovery was made on the ocean floor off the Pacific Ocean coast of Alaska. The mysterious golden sphere, possibly an egg, was thought to have been laid by an unknown sea creature. The smooth object with an intriguing hole in the middle was found at a depth of about 2 miles. It was found by a remotely operated underwater explorer. Scientists who made the discovery had proposed 2 intriguing possibilities. It could be a hatched egg or a marine sponge. A remotely operated arm was deployed to interact gently with this egg, revealing a texture resembling delicate skin. Subsequently, the sphere was carefully suctioned using a tube to be transported to a lab for further examination. Upon initial discovery, the team considered the possibility that the hole was created by a creature hatching, or even by a predator breaking into the sphere. One of the scientists said, "I just hope that when we poke it, nothing decides to come out. It's like the beginning of a horror movie."
If the thought of encountering a giant freshwater eel underwater already scares you, you certainly don't want to encounter one that can move across the land. These marine animals hatch from an egg in the ocean, and they embark on a mission to travel thousands of miles or kilometers to the mainland. The treacherous journey has a survival rate of 1 in 10,000. The very fact that they can cross the mainland is mind-boggling, as they encounter obstacles, defeat predators, and all while having no real legs. After slithering their way through, it's all worth it when they reach their home in fresh water. Eels are found in ponds, lakes, or rivers, and as you can see in the video, they can reach a considerable length. Some species can grow up to 5 feet 6 inches, or 1.7 meters long. But unfortunately, they're usually harmless to humans, unless provoked. But fortunately, they're usually harmless to humans, unless provoked.
According to Indonesian Navy officials, this submarine that sank off the coast of Bali has been discovered in 3 separate parts on the seabed. All 53 crew members on board have been declared dead. The Navy received signals of the submarine's location, which was more than 2,625 feet deep. Subsequently, an underwater rescue vehicle provided by Singapore was deployed to visually confirm the wreckage. The KRI Nanggala disappeared during a torpedo drill after requesting permission to dive, but the exact cause of the submarine's sinking is still unknown. The Indonesian military had previously confirmed the discovery of the wreckage, including prayer mats at the location where the submarine went missing. However, their Navy chief reported that additional items from the submarine, such as an anchor and crew safety equipment, had been recovered. He further revealed that the sub had been split into 3 parts, with the hull, stern, and main sections all detached, and the main part was found to be cracked. Unfortunately, it was also confirmed that there is no chance of finding survivors among the crew.
A man named Mark Watkins came across something strange in the Indian Ocean off the coast of Western Australia in July of 2016. Mark was fishing with his father when they saw something lying in the distance in the water that looked like a hot air balloon. When they came closer, they saw a pink ball with a dirty smell coming from it. Pretty soon, they realized this was a blown-up carcass of a whale. They took some pictures and decided to go back to the coast. If this hadn't happened, it's possible that the whale will explode by itself due to an accumulation of gas in the stomach during the decomposition process. When this happens, you definitely don't want to be near it, because I think you can imagine what kind of filthy smells will be released.
Encounters with squids are rare and remarkable events, especially when captured on camera. A team of researchers exploring the depths of the Red Sea had an unexpected encounter with a massive squid while investigating the remains of the Pella, a ship that sank in November 2011. The enormous squid, larger than a human, unexpectedly appeared on their underwater camera that was only identified in September 2021. Despite its impressive size, it was not one of the mythical giant squids, which can reach lengths of up to 60 feet. The team, part of Ocean X, a group of marine biologists and filmmakers, dove to a depth of 2,789 feet below the surface of the Red Sea. Their equipment included a remotely operated vehicle and an autonomous underwater vehicle capable of exploring depths of up to 19,685 feet. A zoologist confirmed that the mysterious creature was a giant form of the purple-black flying squid, but who knows, it might have been a mini kraken.
It's said that the movie Godzilla was created thanks to the inspiration of the marine iguana. These lizards have a unique way of life and collect their food from the sea. In addition, they're found only in one place in the world, the Galapagos Islands. However, the reputation of these iguanas goes further. After all, Charles Darwin himself described them as hideous and called them clumsy lizards. But that's not entirely true. These monstrous iguanas live to the extreme, and they will do anything to get food. The younger marine iguanas usually stay on the shore and feed on algae that is exposed at low tide. And the larger marine iguanas venture into the sea, and with their claws, they grab onto the seabed. With crocodile-like movements, they navigate their way through the water. There, they can stay underwater for more than 10 minutes.
On June 23, 2023, the Titan submarine, operated by OceanGate Expeditions, catastrophically imploded just 1,670 feet from the Titanic wreck in the North Atlantic Ocean. Measuring 21 feet in length, the Titan submarine was on a mission to explore the Titanic wreck, located approximately 900 miles east of Cape Cod and about 13,000 feet below sea level. The U.S. Coast Guard confirmed that all 5 people aboard the sub were immediately killed in this incident. The search for the missing crew members, including OceanGate CEO Stockton Rush, French Navy veteran Paul-Henri Nargeolet, British billionaire Hamish Harding, Pakistani businessman Shahzada Dawood, and his son Sulman, came to a tragic end when the debris from the submarine was discovered on the ocean floor by a remotely operated underwater vehicle. Search and rescue officials believe that the men likely perished before military aircraft with sonar buoys detected them in this water. The implosion of the submarine would have generated a significant sound that the sonar buoys could have picked up, but unfortunately, there's little chance of recovering any remains.
The Sulphur Gorge is an underwater site where tectonic plates from North America and Eurasia meet. The Earth consists of 7 large tectonic plates, and every year the Sulphur Gap goes 2 centimeters further apart. This could cause earthquakes to the surrounding area, which is dangerous for the divers. If you want to visit this beautiful place, you have to go to the national park Thingvellir in Iceland. The water here is very clear, and it has a consistent temperature of around 2 degrees Celsius. It's a popular diving spot and the only place in the world where you can touch both continents at the same time. There's year-round diving tours here that go up to 15 meters deep. However, it's not recommended to go even deeper, because somewhere around 60 meters, there are several underwater caves in which you could get lost.
The North Channel, at its narrowest, only 12 miles wide, has long served as strategic passage for pirates and privateers harassing ships between Ulster and southwest Scotland. In the early hours of April 30th, 1918, something emerged from the depths of the channel. It was the UB-85, a German submarine. But the UB-85 was sunken by a powerful wave on the starboard side, followed by a tremendous thud as something landed on the deck. To their horror, the crew members saw a huge sea monster rise from the water and climb onto the side of the submarine. Quote, "This beast had large eyes, set in a horn-like skull. It also had a small head, but with teeth gleaming in the moonlight." As they opened fire with their firearms, the creature clung to the forward gun turret, and its immense weight began to sink the 730-ton sub. Eventually wounded by numerous bullets, this creature released its grip on the gun turret and slid back into the depths.
We're gonna stay in Japan for a while. Imagine this scenario. You're diving and suddenly an army of Japanese spider crabs comes towards you. In the video, we see thousands of crabs coming out of the depths of the ocean, clambering over each other and covering the seabed. But this happens every year. In fact, you're witnessing the annual migration of spider crabs, which takes place between late May and mid-June. It's impossible to count the number of crabs, but it's hard to miss this migration. When this annual migration takes place, large groups of crabs the size of a melon come up from the depths to the shallow water. There they shed their shells, counting on the fact that a predator would not dare attack them in these numbers. The sheer quantity is enough to amaze you, and think about how incredible nature can be.
A large copper object, previously thought to be a fish soup cauldron, is now identified as the remnants of a primitive submarine from the 17th century. The artifact was discovered on the seabed near the wreckage of Santa Margarita, a Spanish treasure ship that sank in 1622, approximately 40 miles west of Key West in the Red Sea. The copper dome was found at a depth of about 161 feet, and was originally mistaken for a cooking pot used on the ship. However, new research suggests that it may have been part of an ancient diving bell used in an attempt to recover Spain's lost treasure. Archaeologists studying the artifact believe it was too large to be used for cooking, and closely matches descriptions of ancient diving bells. Unlike modern submarines, these early diving bells had open bottoms and relied on gas pressure to prevent water from flooding the entire vessel. The researchers speculate that the diving bell accommodated up to 3 divers and may have been connected to an air hose. If the researchers' conclusions are correct, this discovery could provide evidence of the oldest diving bell in the world.
Queen Anne's Revenge was the world-famous ship of the English pirate called Blackbeard. His real name was Edward Teach, and he was known as one of the most notorious pirates in history. In the year 1718, the ship sailed against a sandbank in the north of the American state of North Carolina and has not been found since. However, on November 21st, 1996, a research team found a shipwreck that was 31 meters long, which turned out to be Blackbeard's ship. Since then, numerous objects have been found, including cannonballs weighing between 900 and 1,400 kilograms, as well as coins, gold, jewelry, medical equipment, and much more. One of the most recent findings were 16 paper fragments with text on them that they found in one of the cannons. According to researchers, they only dug up half of everything, so in the next few years, a lot of secrets will probably be unraveled.
The Lockheed Martin L-1011 TriStar, with its 3 engines, wings, and tail fin, is a remarkable sight even deep beneath the surface of the Red Sea. This abandoned aircraft lies on the seabed of the Red Sea, creating an eerie spectacle and serving as an artificial reef to encourage marine life. In 2019, an aircraft was sunk in the Gulf of Aqaba in Jordan, intended to boost dive tourism and promote coral growth. The aircraft, first registered in the 1980s, served various airlines before being abandoned in the early 2000s. Resting at a depth between 49 and 92 feet, the sunken aircraft has its cockpit at the shallowest point at about 43 feet. Divers can enter the wreck through 2 doors behind the cockpit, and inside the fuselage, the seats of the middle row have been removed to give divers better access. Despite spending 3 years underwater, the jetliner has surprisingly remained well preserved, and its wings now provide shelter to countless soft corals.
It's not hard to imagine how the giant squid has inspired legends and movies. The first thought that comes to people's mind is that the Kraken can do a lot of damage because of its size. In 2015, a giant squid was spotted as it swam to a pier in Japan and allowed people to swim alongside it. This is an incredibly rare experience, as giant squids don't often show themselves. On Christmas Eve that same year, another giant squid appeared in Toyama Bay in Tokyo. This squid stunned many bystanders because of its size, which was estimated at 12 feet or 30.7 meters. The crazy thing is that this was a fairly young squid. If given enough time, it could grow to triple its current size. In fact, some of them can reach a length of up to 30 feet or 9 meters and weigh no less than a ton.
The Bioduck Sound was first reported in the Southern Ocean in 1960 by submarine personnel, who named it for its resemblance to the sound of a duck. For over 50 years, researchers have recorded this sound, which consists of a series of repetitive, low-frequency pulsating noises. The sound has a frequency range between 60 Hz and 100 Hz, with harmonics up to 1000 Hz, in an interval of a few seconds between each sound. The origin of this sound remained a mystery for decades, until it was concluded in 2014 that the sound is produced by Antarctic minke whales. In February 2013, researchers tagged 2 Antarctic minke whales off the coast of West Antarctica with suction cup tags, allowing them to track the depth, location, and vocalizations of the whales. However, some people believe that this specific sound originates from an unidentified sea monster lurking deep in our ocean. The Bioduck Sound is primarily present during the southern winter in the Southern Ocean. That's around Antarctica and off the west coast of Australia. The presence of the sound at higher and lower latitudes during the winter season has contributed to its mystery. Do you think they're whales or something else?
When the dinosaurs were wiped out some 65 million years ago by a meteorite impact, marine life began again fairly quickly. However, in May 2012, a team of researchers from Denmark and Germany were surprised when they found microorganisms in the Pacific Ocean that were dated more than 85 million years ago. It's known that microorganisms such as sponges can survive tens of millions of years. The most interesting part of this discovery was how these microorganisms were still alive. They had no food and hardly any oxygen. The microorganisms had been found in the sediment at the bottom of the ocean, and according to researchers, they were barely alive. A discovery like this is very important for science, because it shows that even if something catastrophic happens, life can continue to exist in this form.
We're all familiar with the Titanic, not just from the movie starring Leonardo DiCaprio and Kate Winslet, but also the real-life disaster. The Titanic struck an iceberg on her maiden voyage on April 14, 1912, leading to her tragic demise. This maritime disaster resulted in the loss of over 1,500 lives and remains one of the most infamous and tragic events in maritime history. Out of the estimated 2,224 passengers and crew aboard the Titanic, approximately 710 survived the disaster, along with a doll. This porcelain doll, rescued from the wreckage of the Titanic, now finds its place of honor in a museum in Ayamonte located in Spain. This doll was mentioned in the memoirs of Eva Hart, one of the fortunate survivors. Eva, along with her mother, miraculously escaped the Titanic disaster, but the doll was left behind in her second-class cabin during the chaotic evacuation. However, the doll was rediscovered 65 years later by a submarine, when Eva was 72 years old and never expected to see this doll again.
Have you ever been on a passenger ship crossing the ocean? It can be an exciting experience, but also terrifying, especially when the weather is extremely bad. This next passenger ship was sailing off the coast of Massachusetts in the United States when a number of people observed a giant sea monster. Many people on the ship screamed that it was a megalodon. As you may know, the megalodon became extinct 20 million years ago. They're the largest fish to ever ravage the world's oceans. Their length ranged from 50 to 60 feet, or 15 to 18 meters, with a weight of 50 to 70 tons. Fortunately, there was no megalodon swimming next to the ship that could break it in two, but the second largest fish in the world, the basking shark. As you can see in the video, basking sharks are still gigantic ocean monsters. However, they won't hunt for human prey. They roam the ocean waters and come to the surface with their giant mouths open, feeding on plankton. Do you think there's ocean monsters we haven't discovered yet? Let me know in the comments. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more videos we've made, click one on the screen or take a look at the channel. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.